We make of this new update in the David case as we continue to cover the investigation into the death of 14-year-old Celeste Rivas Hernandez, whose body was found in a Tesla that was registered to the singer out in LA back in September. And there have been...
Well, y'all heard what was said. Well, it turns out there's a lot more to get to that y'all are going to be like, he's getting away with it. So let me put that out there first. Let's go.
LAPD has confirmed with KTLA that its prior news release, quote, stands on its own. What does that mean? Well, if you go back to that prior news release, essentially the message being sent is there is currently no crime other than concealment of a body that may have occurred. There is no case being sent over to the LA County District Attorney's Office for potential review or potential prosecution. And one of the reasons that announcement has been made was because the Los Angeles County Medical Examiner has not yet determined a manner or cause of Celeste's death.
So no charges are coming? None whatsoever? It seemed like Steve was a little upset. And you'll start to gradually see the anger start to go up a little bit more because he got told to get in his place. Don't worry, it'll get revealed later. Y'all hit that like button like you like something. Roll it.
Was killed, that homicide charges are not warranted here, that's our final conclusion? Or is that saying we don't have evidence at this point?
So I think what it's saying is that they're still relying on what's going to come back from the medical examiner's office, since there's not a determination there, at least publicly. Now, are they in contact with the medical examiner? Absolutely. But listen, I don't think that's unintentional. They've been so tight-lipped. I think there has to be something to read into that. That, again, I think the purpose of the initial release was to, get everybody possibly prepared that this isn't a homicide. And now they're saying we still don't have anything that shows that it is. But there's other, listen, a crime definitely occurred. And they even say that at least concealment of the body. But there's other crimes I hope they're investigating, such as the relationship. I understand it's a tough case to make because she's not around anymore. She can't testify, but it doesn't mean because it's hard, it shouldn't be, pursued.
I'm going to talk about what potential charge.
I don't know if y'all catching the theme of it all, but it seems like the police ain't gonna do what they supposed to do and basically hold somebody accountable for this, because it seemed like to me, Steve and them are trying to get somebody to come forward.
Yet. Last time you and I were speaking, you said it's possible that the LA County Medical Examiner may be releasing the cause and manner of death of Celeste soon, because you were looking at the website and it was showing that they were reviewing cases. There was a backlog and maybe Celeste is going to come up. Does it signify to you, yeah, we spoke to them, there's nothing to determine that she was killed by anyone, which could raise questions about how she died? Or is this a situation where they again, yeah, they spoke to them. Yeah, it's possible Celeste was killed, but we're just not revealing that at this point in time.
Yeah, so the LA County Medical Examiner's Office has their own in-house investigators also. And in fact, they publicly say on the site who the investigator on the case is. So I'm sure they're working with robbery homicide. And, it may be a case that, let's say they did get a good toxicology result back, but it's not an overdose. Now it throws it back into, okay, so then you got really limited options. It's either a homicide or, if she took her own life. Then they'd really have to dig in, because if it wasn't glaringly obvious from the initial autopsy, in other words, if there's not a gunshot wound or something like that, then, they're going to have to maybe get forensic anthropologists involved that specialize in trying to make these determinations on severely decomposed bodies, which can take a while. And they might be consulting with outside pathologists to see if they got it, to get comfortable with a possible determination. But something, like you said, I've been tracking those other cases and they've come back with toxicology now. In fact, she's the only one of 6 deaths on September 8th that doesn't have a cause and manner. And so it's a little bit, it's concerning, but which way it goes is hard to tell, because they could have, needed additional testing.
Because you thought by this point we might have had a release. You thought by this point we might have more information.
If it was, I think if they got a good toxicology, let's say it came back and it was clearly an overdose of some sort, whether somebody administered that or she took it herself and it was an accident is a different thing. The cause would be, a real manner would be whether it was self-administered or administered by someone else. I would think that there would have been some sort of indication by now, and that could be then initial charges could be dropped. I don't know why initial charges couldn't be dropped now, even if they have the stack on top of them, because I know they'll probably say, well, he's cooperating. But how much, if it's been 2 months and you haven't gotten the answer yet, is he really cooperating? So, it means he's probably not. He's probably, the counsel's telling him not to. And what's the difference if he's Mirandized or not, now?
And to be clear about something, okay? If they come back and they say, listen, there's no evidence to support that Celeste was killed, right? There's no evidence to support homicide charges, manslaughter, murder, anything like that. Is that consistent with what you're seeing in your private investigation? Are you hearing or seeing something different? Would you be surprised if that's the ultimate conclusion?
I'll just be honest. We really don't know. Nobody has stepped forward, even, wanting to be anonymous off the record and said, listen, I know what happened. So it's very bizarre that there's this many people involved that have stayed this quiet for this long, especially like when they're young. And it's like they're all lawyered up, to be honest with you. And I don't know if that's because maybe he's providing counsel to all of them, but there's no leaks coming out. And that's kind of bizarre with this many people involved, younger people that kind of want to save themselves, and they're blowing their careers up. So it seems like there's something that they're trying to protect, but I don't know what it is yet.
And I just have to be clear once again, right? There's a lot of online speculation. There's a lot that we're looking into. We're looking at every report that's come out. To be clear, okay, David Anthony Burke has not been officially implicated in any crime, any wrongdoing. He's not been charged. He's not been named a suspect, not a person of interest. Obviously, his connection is through the car and these reports that he had some sort of relationship with Celeste, which I'll dive into a little bit more.
So they're basically pointing to drugs as, I don't want to say a motive, but the reason. And it's crazy because if you think back to it, right, when we first did the very first thing, right, I thought, hey, it was the other dude, like the dude that she had slept with. I can't remember his name. And then y'all lied and said he was dead. He ain't dead at all. But he ain't trying to put up nothing as far as him doing anything in this case, because, boy, that'll put the cops on his back. As soon as you say somebody, and in that capacity, especially as a little girl, yeah, the police are coming. So I would never announce myself if I'm a little buddy, even though it seems like he probably was either close to her age or older. It seemed like she had an affinity for older cats. But the reason I say that is because she said she lost her V card to him, and on top of that, she was getting drunk at each other. This is not a Zima, by the way. This is a clearly Canadian. Only brought this in. Hey, y'all know, y'all grew up in the 90s. You know what this is. But anyways, let's continue.
That may be just a misdemeanor. There's a law that says every person who, having knowledge of an accidental death, actively conceals or attempts to conceal that death shall be guilty of a misdemeanor, punishable by imprisonment in a county jail for not more than 1 year, or by a fine of not less than $1,000 nor more than $10,000, or by both that fine and imprisonment. And for purposes of this section, to actively conceal an accidental death means any of the following: to perform an overt act that conceals the body or directly impedes the ability of authorities or family members to discover the body, to directly destroy or suppress evidence of the actual physical body of the deceased, including but not limited to bodily fluids or tissues, to destroy or suppress the actual physical instrumentality of death, right, what caused the death. And I also saw that there was this health and safety code section under California law that says a person who willfully mutilates remains known to be human without authority of law is guilty of a felony. I'm just not sure if we've seen convictions on that for something like this, given this fact pattern. But the reason people are talking about this law now is because if we are coming to the conclusion that this really may be it, am I wrong? Is that really what, we might be looking at?
Yeah, no, you're not wrong. And, I've brought this up for a while now, that you can willfully conceal and suppress evidence and destroy evidence, to hide it from investigators and family and everybody else. And it's still a misdemeanor. And let's just be real about it. None of these people appear to, or in initial orbit have a record. So they're not going to get up to a year in county jail. They're going to get probation if they're charged. So it's tremendous. Now, it shifts to a felony when you mutilate a body. Now, and of course, we've heard these reports since the beginning of her being dismembered. I do not believe that. I believe it was disinterculation, which is that's a natural process of the connective tissues degrading and the bones, falling apart. I don't have any evidence that she was dismembered, so I don't think that's the case.
Okay.
But if it is, then that would go to a felony. That would be a totally different thing. But you suppress this evidence. You can hide her in a trunk from investigators and destroy evidence. And it's a misdemeanor in California.
And to be clear, maybe that's what the additional testing is, to try to see what signs her body shows of being manipulated in some way or mutilated in some way. I hate to talk so cavalier about this, but from a legal point of view, this is the cold, hard facts. This is what investigations look like.
So they want the police to essentially arrest somebody and do the whole entire TV investigative angle. Like if you remember 24, Jack Bauer would have basically arrested David and would have beat his ribs in and would have got the answers that he needed. And it's starting to look like they're calling out. Like, hey, somebody, come tell us all. Come tell us all. Let this weigh on your conscience. I'm sorry. But Steve, can I call you Steve? The way you deliver it is tone deaf. This is how you do it, Steve. Dear anybody within David's circle, please, as a decent human being, as somebody who probably knew Celeste, probably had good conversations with her, probably knew her better than we knew her, and probably more than her boyfriend David, you will not be in trouble because you don't have a criminal record. You'll get probation, but you won't be thrown in jail. You'll be able to walk out that same day. People will ruin your name and try to tarnish your name, but over time, because you did the right thing, you're going to be hailed as a hero. Because as it seems right now, it seems like David is getting away with murder. And if it wasn't David, then you need to help David out as well and come through and tell us the truth. Not only will you be helping out the family of Celeste, but you'll be helping Celeste in the afterlife here and now. Don't you want to help that out? You owe it to yourself to clear your guilty conscience. Come forward. That's what I would have said. But in all candor, if I'm being real, I'm telling you now, if it was me in that house, and I know some of y'all gonna be like, man, hell nah, I'm not doing that shit, because whoever comes out and they say anything, the internet gonna rip them apart. The internet ain't gonna forget nothing. You gonna be typed up, and your name gonna be basically associated with PDF stuff. Check it.
Could be. So, listen, this is a high profile case, and let's look at other high profile cases that's similar as Mac Miller, Matthew Perry. Both times people charged with providing him the drugs they overdosed on. So maybe there is a drug element to this investigation going on that we don't know about, because when they confirmed basically they're standing on that statement a couple days ago, I know that I saw a headline saying, they've confirmed that it's not a murder, not homicide. That's not what they said. They said they're just standing on their previous statement. So it got a little spun out of control, I think. And that's going to happen when this goes on 2 months, right? But maybe there's a drug investigation. Maybe they're trying to figure out how those got to her, and it's going to be a Mac Miller or Matthew Perry type of situation where they are going to go after, whoever provided them.
And without naming names, from your investigation into that house, can you say at this point whether drugs were ever found at that house or connected to that house?
So I can tell you that there was prescription narcotic medication, opiate, painkillers that were found, but they were prescribed. And so we don't know if they were ever used recreationally or not. There was some paraphernalia there. But listen, marijuana is legal in California, and it's something that you can use for that. You can also use it for illicit drugs. We don't know what they were being used for. I've seen some pictures of Celeste where she doesn't look sober. I'll just be honest with you. She looks like she's definitely not sober. And I've talked to people in Lake Elsinore that said when she came back after that time that law enforcement brought her back, that she was quote unquote strung out. And so I don't know. And I hate to say that about a minor because I don't have proof of it. I'm just telling you what I've been told. But if that's indeed the case, then hopefully there's a drug element going, investigation going on that we don't know about. They're just being very tight-lipped. But listen, it's been a while now,
So all in all, this comes from a report 2 days ago where people was basically pressing the cops and saying, hey, bro, y'all got anything? Y'all got anything? Because it seems like y'all not about to give or get anything. And when the police basically came out and they ran their mouths and they acted like how they acted, It basically screamed of murder, but then they realized, bro, if you put that on this kid and he don't have nothing to do with nothing, bruh, I'm gonna be honest. Shoot, he might be innocent. So when he say there's pictures of her strung out and anything, my first question is, who is she strung out with? Who is she strung out with? Is it David? Because one thing that Law&Crime didn't do is they didn't talk about the charges I talked about. Where if they could prove that he was smashing that little girl, which is going to be difficult to prove because you can't prove it based on theory, only on facts for the majority of the parts in 2025. Now, if this was 2005, 1995, they would have threw his ass underneath the bus and backed it up, put it up, backed it up, hit it up again, and would have convicted that man basically based on poisoning the jury pool before he even got there. But the problem that we have is this. Though you may theorize and you have strong theories, they're going to say, and we've heard too many times where a judge has basically read jury instructions, meaning this is what you must do before, well, here are the rules before you step your ass in that goddamn room and y'all deliberate, or deliberation room, whichever one you like to call it. You got to make sure that you adhere to all of these rules, not feelings, facts. What did you factually see that proves whatever theory the prosecution has or the defense has? To me, David guilty as shit. And so what it's going to boil down to is, like he said, the Mac Millers, the David Perrys, all of this shit. Bruh. Or Matthew Perry, pardon me. Sorry. I know them 90210 fans about to come on. But yeah, man, I'm going to be honest. Please do not act like you give a damn about PDFs and you ain't on Trump Hills about the Epstein files that he's in. And if you try to lie and say, oh no, Ceddy Nash, you're pushing a left-wing agenda. Biden, he could have released them. I promise you. Bruh, if Biden would have released them Epstein files and Trump name would have been up in there, fake news. It's all fake news ran by the Democrats. It's always best to put it in their hands because next thing you know, that's what it is. And all you people who will lie and say, no, that's not true. You're a goddamn lie. Y'all was pushing that Epstein file shit so hard. I got so many messages right now. I ain't heard shit about nothing since. They ain't saying, man, Trump need to release those files at all. They ain't saying shit. And if y'all all try to say his name ain't in there and all this shit, why did Elon Musk say it months ago and he didn't get sued? This the richest man in the world, about to be worth $1 trillion. Why didn't Trump sue him? Yeah, shut the fuck up. Anyways, share to keep your people aware, subscribe, turn on bell, stay notified. I know some of y'all mad as hell. I just said that shit. I don't give a damn. I'm an independent. I ain't left. I ain't right. I'm straight here in the center, in the middle. Just wondering who the hell is who and who gonna stick tied and true. USA. Anyways, subscribe, turn on bell, stay notified. Hit that like button. Cool. So this can be gone. Do y'all know we already fell off about 200 people off of winning the Xbox and PlayStation, bro? The pool now is 137 people, and we're still going up subscribers every day. So shout out to them. We'll probably get this gone by Christmas time, I guess. Anyways, click right here and see how Kevin McCall got G-Check on Watch by Tyrese. Singing ass Tyrese. Am I doing it right? Tyrese got on them heels, bruh. Stop playing with that man. I'll catch you on the